Hey guys, Tate and Zayna here from Bonsai Apprentice, and today we're going to be talking about my coniferous trees. Now, about a week ago, I posted a video about my deciduous trees. If you haven't seen that, there'll be a tag somewhere. Go ahead and check that out. It talks about all my deciduous trees, the problems with them, what I plan to do with them, and long-term what I think they'll look like. But today we're going to be talking about my coniferous material and what I've got going on with this. If you haven't though, please check out my GoFundMe video. Please donate to that. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting content, especially when I get to Japan. I really hope to post more and post what I'm learning and share that with you guys. If you haven't already, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm posting there as well. And without further ado, let's talk about my coniferous material. Before I get too far in though, I will say I don't have as much coniferous material. It's harder to grow in Missouri. It gets very hot here and it gets very humid. So if you don't have the right materials, sometimes they just, it's hard to keep some of those trees because of the environment that we have in Missouri. But I really wanted to talk about my trees and share what I have and what I plan for the future on this. And there'll be an upcoming video about this juniper, which I'm going to talk about first. So this juniper is a Juniper chinensis. I got it, this is one of my first trees, about 2 years ago. And it's gone through probably, 2 years worth of styling. Now this tree's front is right about there in the camera. I had it face towards me to look at it, but it's right about there. It has some trouble spots, and because it's so young, it's got some problems with it, but that's okay. It'll happen. Obviously, it's got some leggy growth. I don't know if I'll get a close-up of it because you can't really see it there, which is nice, but it's got some growth that's it's very long, it's very leggy, and not as tight as it needs to be. And that's okay for this tree at the moment. As the next 2 or 3 years come along and I'm refining these pads, I mean, I don't think they look bad now, but long term, I'm gonna definitely want them to get tighter. As you can see, the distinguishing feature really towards the front is gonna be this Deadwood Feature. I'll get a close-up of that as well and show you. And in my video, I show how I added this gin last time and my plan long-term for that. And my plan long-term, once this raffia and wire comes off, I plan to make another little gin here, run it back, and make some shari and connect all this deadwood together in the composition that I'm gonna have. So let me go grab that camera. I'll show you the close-ups of the tree, what I find, and show you my problem areas. All right, so here we are with this close-up. You can see this Deadwood Feature at the very front where the branch was sticking out and protruding. And then this year it moved back a little bit more. And I've got this one here, which was a failed air layer. You'll see that in the video that's coming up, where I restyled this tree and give it a little trim. But you can see some of this growth. It's not growing down, but it's very leggy and long, and you can see it's spiny on the end. So it's weaker growth that is hanging, but because it's midsummer, I'm just letting it grow and get strong. And as you move up the tree, it's got decent motion in the trunk. It kind of comes up, comes across, comes back over, and then this is where I end up wiring for the apex, which again, for as strong as it is very leggy, especially up top. This top part, you can tell, just leggy, but I mean, it's new growth. So come this fall, come this winter, I will be shortening it or cutting it off depending on how strong it is. But for now, I'm just going to let it grow, let it get strong, and create an apex in this region that's very thick and lush. I feel that this tree is healthy though. It got repotted this spring, and we've got all sorts of new growth popping out in different areas. So Notably, this one was from last year. It's going to come out and eventually form a pad on this area as this elongates. So with that, this tree has quite a future ahead of it, I feel. And over the course of 2 years, it's already gotten a lot tighter and a lot healthier. So we will be getting there eventually, and hopefully in the years to come I can keep updating on this tree and just show the evolution of this tree over time, because I really think it'll look good. I mean, who knows, I might be removing branches, I might be, you know, making it not a cascade, I might be ginning the whole thing, you know, who knows. But this tree's iteration, this is a second iteration on this tree, so let's get to the next one. All right, so we are back with another tree. Now this one is a cedar of some sort. I'm not honestly sure, but the front is kind of still undecided. I'm thinking somewhere around here, or the other side is really nice as well. It wasn't in very good health when I got it, and the reason for that I found out later after exploring. It was kind of given to me, so I didn't say no because it's a free tree, but it had really bad root rot, and so this tree actually is in recovery. I'm actually shocked that it's alive. I dug it out. I basically planted it as a large cutting. It had almost no roots to it, and like I said, it basically got planted as a large cutting and came back, and I'm shocked. It's full. Up top, this is the first year I've had it, and it's been in good health, obviously. And it got styled this winter, but I really think a lot of these lower branches they're really suffering. If you can tell, they're really thin. There's not a lot of padding to them, but the top is very is full and it's growing. So I'm optimistic. I got new buds this year on this tree, so that's also really good to see. And I hope long term this tree survives. But like I said, we had some major problems with this tree initially. So it's on the up and up. It's recovering. It's in good draining soil. It's growing really good roots. I had just this wire over the top just to hold it down in place. And I had to go outside this mica pot actually to wire the tree in because there's only one drainage hole in it. But you know, I at the time didn't have the tools and was trying to just, get it into the pot. So I didn't drain another hole in it, at risk of maybe ruining this pot, but also not being able to help the tree in time, because I literally got it and then made the decision to replant it. Luckily, it was in the fall. So, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. It went into dormancy, and I think it had enough root to last through the winter and enough energy stored. And then in the spring, obviously this year it's doing really well. There's not a lot of brown tips. We're getting woody parts out on these edges, and we got back budding. So in a couple years, it's going to be a really healthy tree, and I'm really looking forward to getting more style into this tree, because right now I think it's kind of bland, but it's opened up. I've opened up the branches with a little bit of wire here and there just to keep it open and getting all that sunlight and air and all that good jazz in there instead of it being folded up. So, and at the time when I did that, I actually didn't expect the tree to live, so it was more of just practice, to say the least. And now that it's recovered and growing again, I'm excited to what I can do with it in the future. Now that some of these, I've not moved it a lot. I'm just leaving it to grow. So some of these branches long term, not where I want them, but I'm not going to move them until this tree is fully recovered. So we'll zoom in, we'll look at this tree and talk about some of the features on it. So first things first, when you get to this tree, the base is relatively decent. I mean, it's a good thumb size. The tree itself is, that first branch is at least finger, thicker than my finger on both, and all these two coming up too at the splint. So it's a multi-trunk tree. Really, it's what I'm going for. But as you can see, we were talking about these woody areas coming, Whoop, whoop, there we go. These woody areas coming out, and then obviously the new buds at the base coming out and growing out. And up top, you can see we even have more coming out up top and budding out everywhere. So that's what we like to see. But as you can tell, the top of this tree is very much more dense than the bottom, which isn't all that shocking, but a lot of the bottom branches died with the heavy root prune and everything else. So like I said, long term, this tree I think will be a good one. I think once it's vigorously healthy and exploded in growth in the next year or two, we can really get some really good style into this tree and put the branches exactly where we want them for it to be a very healthy tree. And I'm looking forward to it. It just, takes time. It's got a lot of wire on it obviously right now, but I'll be taking that off soon, and I'll probably just do a video on that when it's ready to go. So thanks. We'll move on to the next one. So here are my Norland Islands spruces, and they are very young. They're probably no more than 3, maybe 4 years. They're not very big, as you can tell. But my goal with these trees at the moment is just to put that motion into them, let them thicken up, let them grow. There's no general styling of these trees. It's predominantly all trunk wiring, getting that bend in the trunk, and also a little bit of primary wiring on that first branch. But even that, it's only on the ones that I needed to get lateral, especially on this tree. And then I have this one, which is cascading, because that's the design that best fit this tree. Now, they do really well in the Missouri weather. Even though they're a tropical tree, I just bring them in for the winter and they stay in my room. But they've grown, they've exploded with new light green growth. And like I said, there's just not a ton that I can do yet with these seedlings. I'm just waiting for them to grow, start to ramify, and really look good. I don't know if it'll be a good bonsai long term, but they were cheap. I got them at a nursery. They were a 3-pack, and they work really well together. So I repotted them into the bonsai soil that I use here in Missouri. It is a mixture. It is a mixture of well draining, but also moisture retention. So I use sphagnum peat moss, akadama, perlite, and pumice occasionally, depending on how much water retention I think the tree needs. And the reason for that is because in Missouri we get very tumultuous weather, so we'll get very highs and we'll get very low. So I need that water retention sometimes, but not all the time. So I really pay attention when I water my trees. But these tropical trees like a lot of water. They're doing very well in the humid Missouri weather. Like I said in several videos, it's been close to 100. With the heat index, it's been 85 without it, and it's been in the 60s, 70s for humidity. So these trees are just loving that. And they're young, but I'm excited to see what they do. But like I said, long term, I don't know if they'll be great bonsai trees. They have, for now, pretty small foliage, but they're not ones that you see often. So these are experiments. They were cheap, they're fun, and that's part of it. That's part of the best part about bonsai, is exploring new things and new tactics. So on to my last carnivorous tree for the day. All right, so my last one for today is this Alberta blue spruce. Now this tree I got very early on. It was bought from a nursery for cheap because the top was dying. And I'll get in here and show you a close-up of what I'm talking about. But the top was dying, and so I got it for cheap because they were just trying to get rid of it. But the roots looked really healthy, so I took a gamble. It was like 10 bucks, and I was just like, you know what? It's 10 bucks. If it dies, I got practice. But it's alive, it's healthy, it's 2 years old, and this spring, actually, it went through its second iteration of wiring and growing. It's looking good. I think, and it's pretty generic. But the best part about this tree is you got to come in close for the base. So I'll grab the camera and show that to you now. So this tree is going to get a second flush of growth this year, as you can see with all these buds popping out. We already went through one, and I wasn't expecting another flush, but as you can see all over the tree, we just got new buds popping out. So I'm just going to let this tree grow. It's going to ramify, and we're going to see what happens. But this base, man, this base is the gnarly part of this tree. Now, the problem with this base is it's not very traditional, and some people would say it looks ugly, but actually there are no roots attached except for this leg, this limb right here. And then it comes down in the back right through this hole. And I'll flip this tree around so you can see. So these roots here are the only roots that are not connected to this bulb that goes into the ground. So I've had to make the conscious decision just to keep it, make it look like this, and make it look interesting. Now, it was tied down inside the pot, but for some reason it was still wiggling. So I just put wire around this to tie it down outside as well. And I'm not really sure why it was wiggling, but it didn't have a lot of roots. But, you know, it's what it is. It was in bad soil, so I had to move it. Now, the other part about this tree is this top that died that I was talking about. So the entire top is now a gin feature, and the foliage was centered around that gin feature. Now that it's gone through its second iteration, I feel like this gin is extremely long and straight and not really interesting as much as the rest of the tree could be. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is shortening it and taking it back eventually when I fill out these pads more. Now, the problem with this tree, if you can tell, right in here, we got huge wire marks all over this tree. And that was my fault. I completely didn't check it enough. And these primary branches, when they were growing, it just dug in and cut into the tree. So this year I'm being extra careful. There's those beautiful advantageous buds though. Beautiful shot. So what we're looking at is just some nasty wire scarring on this tree, but I'm hoping that since it's so young that it will grow out, it'll look good, and eventually we won't see it anymore. There's a good chance we will, but as far as this tree goes, I don't know if it'll ever be a show tree. There's some questionable things and interesting things about it, but I think it's something to look forward to and talk about. So I'm just sharing my experiences and what I found, but you know how it goes. So we're just watching this tree grow and change. And like I said, with the Nolands, with my juniper, and with this one especially, I want to see how it progresses in the future. And just looking at its design now, I can see where we can fix some things, but for now I think it's a pretty decent tree. And I think once it gets really healthy and we work on some things with it, it will have a really engaging tree. So I'm excited for it, but one has to wait for what the tree presents and what the tree has in store. So thanks on this one, and it's the last one, so I'll do my outro. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it wasn't as long as my other one. I just don't have as much coniferous material, in all honesty. Like I said, Missouri isn't really kind to some things. I wanted some pines. I hope to get some pines at some point, but as it stands now, I just don't have any. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and pass this along. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, I'll be posting there regularly, hopefully. And then also, looking ahead, I have a juniper rewire rework video coming out. And I'm also going to be producing a video about trees that I haven't worked on, my plan for them, and what they're going to look like in the future. So I'm excited for what I've got to record. I'm excited for what I have to share. And I hope long run it's engaging for you guys and you guys support this channel and support me. Like I said earlier, go check out my GoFundMe video. I'll add the tag again. And please, please, please donate if you can. Like I said, the sooner I leave Missouri and can get to Japan and work for Adam Jones at Treehouse Bonsai, the sooner I can start to teach you guys and share my knowledge that I'm learning with you guys. You know, that's really my goal, to come back, share those things, teach, and help out the bonsai community in America. It's my passion, it's my love, and I've loved it for 2 years now. So I'm glad I made this decision, and I just hope you guys can help and share in my passion, and I can hopefully make it your passion too. So with that said, sayonara.